Welcome back to another episode of Spooky Repot with me. This is episode 1 of season 3, and I cannot believe that this is our 3rd year doing Spooky Repot with me. I look forward to it every October, so thank you so much to those of you who watch, like, comment, share, and send in your stories. Your support means so much to me. If you're new here, Spooky Repot is a series that I do on my channel every October, and we basically repot plants together and I tell you some creepy, ghostly stories that were submitted by my viewers. I usually try to add a Halloween themed DIY twist to the repot as well. It's really fun. I'm not the most crafty person in the world, so I don't take the DIY portion very serious, but it is really fun to try out new things and make some cute little Halloween themed pots, etc. Also, if you would still like to send a story in, I'm still accepting them, so you can send them to this email right here on the screen, and perhaps your story will be featured in one of the future Spooky Repots. Also, thank you so much to everybody who has purchased merch so far. I do have a new Spooky Repot design up on the merch store. I'm wearing the sweater right now and I'm obsessed with it. I love the colors so much. That will be linked down in the description box if you're interested. Alright, we're gonna hop into it pretty quick. I am gonna show you what we're making today. So if you've watched these videos before, then you know that it's not a tutorial. I don't explain what I'm doing. I will leave some details for this particular project and how I prepped it and everything down in the description box if you are interested. But it's more so just a visual, you're watching me do it while we listen to the stories. But I will give you a quick overview. So we are actually creating a terrarium today. I was actually very anxious about filming this because I have never created a terrarium like this before, ever. I don't have any experience. I'm also not super experienced in terrarium plants, but I'm super happy with how it turned out. As you can see, it is a coffin-shaped terrarium. I purchased this from Michael's. This is the largest size that they sell it in. It's still quite small. It's only like a foot tall. And I wanted to have it standing up vertically, so I did a moss back, and then I just have a few begonia and different plants growing in here. I did put a little spooky fence down here and a gravestone. Supposed to be semi-terrarium vibes, if you will. Alright, I guess that's gonna be it for the intro. I hope that you guys enjoy the video, and I hope that you're not watching before bed. Story number 1. It was a dark and stormy night. No, really, it was. I was driving through Wyoming in a really deserted area around midnight. Most of Wyoming is deserted. I grew up in the land of thunderstorms and tornadoes, Oklahoma, but I have never seen anything like the lightning storm that appeared over the nearby mountains. I'd driven right near tornadoes, but this storm was so freaky, I pulled over to wait it out. Giant balls of lightning in the sky, not the usual heat lightning or bolts, and the flashing and intensity was extreme. The thunder shook the car. Lightning was landing all around me. I was so thankful I was not hit. Finally, it passed. I drove a bit and saw a bunch of lights lining the highway. No towns or houses out here, so apparently I was in for some construction zone driving. I kept approaching it. A few miles went by since it had been visible several miles ahead. As I got near, the lights rose about 20 feet in the air. Then, in a flash, they sped off in the sky, faster than Santa's sled, all in a row just like a 3 to 4 mile long string. In less than a second, I was returned to blackness, with only my headlights for illumination. I'll leave the explanation up to you. Story number 2. My spooky story is from my best friend Lily and her family, who all live in a house built in the mid-1800s. Even worse is that the original family photos are still up and anchored to the wall. When Lily was little, she would sneak into her parents' room at night. Her parents were used to her tiptoeing down the hall and hopping onto their mattress. Her dad recounts a night where he sat up when he saw a little girl standing at the bedroom door. He told her, thinking it was Lily, to go back to bed. But the little girl wouldn't move. After rubbing his eyes, he could see that it wasn't Lily, and he jumped out of bed and turned on the light, only to see the empty corridor. Lily hadn't snuck into her parents' room that night. They still see the little girl from time to time, usually causing light trouble, like popping closed doors open and tipping over glass cups to the floor. I've seen a flash of someone behind me when I look up into the bathroom mirror while at her house. Safe to say that Lily usually hangs out at my place. Story number 3. I grew up on a small island in the Atlantic. Our house was very small and old. My grandparents extended the house when they bought it so that my parents could live with them. The outside of the house was made with bricks, but the inside walls were made with some sort of wood, as the houses in that area could get too hot during the summer, and that helped to keep it cool. When I was 13 during the spring, I started to hear some noises coming from the floor and walls at night in my bedroom. I couldn't explain what it was at first, but then I realized it sounded like scratching. The sound kept happening every night, and it got more intense as the time went by. I'd turn the lights on and couldn't see anything there, but I definitely knew where the sound was coming from. It started to keep me awake. My grades were affected because of it. My mom was angry because my grades had been going down, so when I told her what was going on, she decided that she would spend the night in my bedroom. She couldn't hear a thing. She thought I was making excuses and dismissed what I had told her. From then on, I decided to pretend to sleep in the bedroom, but actually was going to the living room and sleeping on the sofa. Fast forward to the summer, my brother came to visit. We spent every night watching horror movies, as we still do when we visit each other. And I remember telling him about the noises, but I think he thought I was trying to mess with him. He would sleep in my bedroom, and I'd sleep on the sofa, and I was at ease with that deal. One morning, I woke up to screams. It was my mom and my brother. My brother heard the noises. He turned the light on his phone to see what it was, and as he turned it on, a cockroach fell on him. He brushed it off, but another one fell on him. He moved the light to the walls, and thousands of cockroaches had filled the room. They were crawling and flying everywhere. In a state of panic, he called my mom with his phone, and she finally saw it with her own eyes. In the end, they had to hoover the walls and ceiling to be able to get rid of it, and since then I developed a phobia with creepy crawlies. Turns out that they somehow grew a nest inside of those hollow walls and kept multiplying until they had burst out through the wood. So I had spent months listening to the nests grow through the walls. Story number 4. A couple of years ago, I was working at a local music store in Puerto Rico. The store would close up at 6 p.m., and I was usually in charge of balancing the cash drawer at the end of the day. One day, about 20 minutes after closing, as I was in the middle of this process, I saw a man in a white t-shirt and blue jeans walk across the guitar showroom and into the next room.
It couldn't have been an employee, as our uniforms were a black shirt and pants. I was shocked, since we always made sure that there were no customers left in the store while we balanced the cash drawer for security reasons. He couldn't have entered the store without me noticing either, since the only point of entry to the store was the glass door next to the cash register, and it was kept locked at all times during the day. The only way one could open it was by pressing a button under the cash register. I quickly closed up the cash register after I saw him, and went after him to see why he was still in the store at that hour, and to ask if he needed help in any way. I entered the room which he had just walked into, and there was no one there. I walked across into the next room, and the one that connected to that room as well. I circled all the way around the store, ending once again in the main guitar showroom where I started, and still no trace of the man in the white t-shirt and blue jeans. One of my coworkers walked in from the employees' break room, and I asked if he had seen a man fitting that description. He said he didn't see anyone, and that there was no one left in the store, as he had just double-checked. I was kind of freaked out, but carried on working and never mentioned what I saw to anyone else. A few months passed, and one day after closing the store, and once all customers had gone, I began balancing the cash register once again. As I did this, I saw one of my coworkers walk across the main guitar showroom and into the next room as if he was trying to catch up to someone. I watched him circle around the store with a very confused look on his face, as if he were looking for someone. Finally, he walked up to me and said, "Did you see a customer walk into the next room a couple of minutes ago?" I said no, and asked him what he was wearing. He said that he was wearing a white t-shirt and blue jeans. I froze and stared at him in disbelief and told him what I had experienced some time ago. He got very freaked out, and we all left that day feeling totally spooked. After this happened, 2 other employees were moved from one of our other music store locations and into this store. They told us that they witnessed the same thing individually sometime after they began working in our store. We never found out who that ghostly man was, but after experiencing that, we always felt like we were being watched, and closing time was never the same. Story number 5. When I was little, my family had 2 close musician friends, an old Southern couple, Sterling and Nellie. We would do things like go to the symphony with them, and we had a Christmas Eve dinner tradition with them as well, since their family lived out of town and didn't usually come back on Christmas Eve. Sterling sold insurance most of his life, but after he retired, he started writing music. Nellie was a retired concert pianist. My brother and I played piano growing up, and we would sometimes go over to their house and have dinner with them, play piano for them, etc. My brother was the only one who ever got to play for Nellie, because I didn't start taking piano lessons until after she passed away. They were like another set of grandparents to me. Nellie had an amazing collection of music boxes, and I would always go play with a specific one every time we came over. It was a little cat that would spin in circles, and I would hold its hands while it spun around. One day, she realized how much I adored it and gave it to me. I brought it home and played with it all the time, until she passed away from cancer. I think I was 4 or 5 when she passed, but I still remember her warm personality and amazing style. I wouldn't touch the music box anymore after she passed. Cut to when I was in high school. I was participating in a state piano competition. The judging took place in private classrooms in a music school. I played a Beethoven sonata, and I think it is still the best I've ever played anything in my life. I got top marks and remember feeling so good, and when I came out into the hallway, everyone clapped for me because they had heard and knew I did well too. It was one of those things I just knew I nailed. I remember thinking about Nellie on the way home and wishing she could have heard me. I got home and went into my room and was just sitting on my bed by myself when my music box cat, out of the blue, did a couple of spins, with the music too. I hadn't touched it in years. It made me so happy, and I just knew that she was with me after that. I don't think I had ever experienced paranormal things before that, and I haven't since then, but I believe so fully that she was with me that day. Her husband, Sterling, passed away when I was in college. I adored them both, and I'm so happy to have my memories of them. It's really special to know that they're still with me, even though they aren't here anymore. I believe that little things that happen that remind me of them are their way of saying hello. I still have the music box, by the way, and will absolutely never get rid of it. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Spooky Repot with me. I hope that you enjoyed the stories as well as watching me put together this coffin terrarium. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. Like and share this video. I hope that you are all having a wonderful first day of October, or whichever day you're watching this on. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.